don't fear the unknown. Don't walk through life fearing what could happen. Live life, and if something happens, choose to find the joy in it. Don't miss the joy of the journey. It's so easy to do, but I want y'all to be hopeful and mindful, and I hope overall that you will hear that joy is a choice. I was 17 during my first accident, so and just a fair warning, I might get teary-eyed, and that's okay. Y'all get to see emotional Heather today some.
Yes. And you don't have to talk about anything you don't want
to. So, no, I appreciate that.
Hello, and welcome to How Would You Rate Your Pain? We will be exploring life, loss, love, and the power of resilience. I am Dr. Tiffany Bartell. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to go on this journey with you. Hello, and welcome to another episode of How Would You Rate Your Pain? I'm Dr. Tiffany Bartell, your host, and you'll notice the sound is a little different today. I am here at the Hendrickson Agency with Heather Hendrickson. She has a little recording studio here in her office, and so I'm so privileged to have talked with her today on her podcast, and she's going to share some time with me here with you guys. So, Heather, so grateful you could join me, or I could join you.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to be here.
And I'd love for you to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I own an insurance agency where we do every line that you can think of, both commercial and personal. And we also do health and life and even pet insurance, because they matter too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I've got the podcast, Heather's Most Precious, where we talk about what our guests find most precious in their lives, what they hold most dear, which has proven just to be a wonderful outlet for me to be able to not only express myself, but to be able to continue to build relationships, which is what I love to do. I love to help people. I love to build relationships. And my husband and I have been married almost 16 years, and we have got two boys. So, yeah, so I'm very, very grateful for where I am in life and for my family. They are the best part of me.
And I have to say that Heather has taken me under her wing as I'm stepping into the world of podcasting. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but I will say, for those of you who might be thinking about, sharing your own ideas or voice in this way, it's a very kind community.
Yes.
And full of really wonderful people. And so Heather, as you know, this podcast talks a lot about people going through challenges, different kinds of pain, struggles, and how we move through them and find peace and healing. So what are some of the challenges or adversity that you have faced in your life?
Yes. I feel like a lot of my life has been centered around medical ailments, even as a child getting diagnosed with things that they hadn't seen in 30 to 50 years. Just pretty wild. I was in a car accident as a senior in high school.
Okay.
And 27 breaks or fractures from my pelvis to my skull. Always complained about my legs. It was as I went on a lacrosse scholarship to university the following year that a lot of it was found. I had nerve damage from my high knee down to my toes, and compartment syndrome, and my kneecaps were sideways. There's just a lot of things that I now have had 9 knee surgeries between the two, trying to correct a lot of those issues, and suffered a lot of PTSD from that initial. I was 17 years old, and hurt us financially. As moving into a marriage and continuing to have operations and things like that. Then most recently, when I was 33, which I will say a 33-year-old body does not heal like a 17-year-old body
so deeply,
or a body that has given birth and has responsibilities and all of those things. And it was actually had healed from that. We're finally doing well, and then was hit head on my way home from work one day. And so from that, have a spinal cord injury that I am still recovering from. So I still don't have full use of my legs and roll around in a wheelchair. So it has definitely altered my life, not made it any less than, just made it to my life does not look like what I thought it would because of this, right? So not necessarily a bad thing, but just definitely has been eye-opening, has unfortunately brought a new level of PTSD, a new level of understanding and empathizing, being able to empathize with other people. And, I'm someone who always announces, to everyone else, like, oh, take grace, like, give yourself grace, you're good. But I was someone who cannot hear that, right?
Everybody else.
But not for me. So,
So, I'm just kind of picturing, starting this, it sounds like you started the journey of like, struggles with things going on with your body that you didn't have any control over at such a young age. And I think, a lot of the clients I've spoken to that have this kind of situation, there's a lot of grief involved in, like you said, the way you thought life was going to be. Tell me a little bit about, like, when did you realize that, those ideas and dreams and pictures of the future were going to have to change a little bit?
Yes. So, and just a fair warning, I might get teary-eyed, and that's okay. Y'all get to see emotional Heather today some.
And you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to.
So, no, I appreciate that. So I was, as I mentioned, 17 during my first accident. The way that I had 8 different pelvic fractures and breaks, and it tilted my uterus. And so I was initially told that I would not have children. And I had only ever wanted to be a wife and a mother, like above anything else. That is the only thing I knew I wanted to do. I was not ever career minded. I knew I wanted to support my husband. I knew I wanted to take care of my babies. That's all. And so being told that was devastating, because
so young too.
Yes, to know that's what you've wanted to do, and then to be told like it wouldn't happen. Obviously, it has happened. Praise the Lord. I have 2 beautiful boys here, and they are 9 and 14. About 6 months after getting married to my husband, which I got married when I was 20, I was a baby. We got pregnant with Laker, and I did have to have cesareans, which were okay. But that, again, was another piece of my journey. Thanks to TLC's A Baby Story, I always wanted water births. And so another piece of it that had to change. And then being fearful, went into labor with my oldest son, and being fearful that, if labor starts, they can't, there's a certain part where they can't then take the baby a different way. And knowing my pelvis would not be able to contract naturally, I was terrified that I would end up hurting my baby, unintentionally. And so thankfully everything went beautifully. But that was just another section of grief. As I continued to have knee surgeries that were related to the first accident, that my husband and I didn't even know each other when that happened. And the financial debt it put us in, as I'm a stay-at-home mother with the boys, as I've had to get people to come in and help after most of the operations put me no weight bearing for at least 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so
with little ones.
Oh, wow. And so that also changed things, with, kind of moving forward. There are different pieces as well with PTSD, with panic attacks and things like that, where you're instantly, for those who have never experienced that, I'm so grateful that you haven't. It instantly takes you back to a time and a place that you do not want to be. And it is very debilitating at times. And so that also has...
And it can be surprising, right?
Yes.
It pops up when you don't expect it, and it feels like you're very helpless.
Absolutely.
In the moment.
In the most inconvenient times, right? It's always what it seems like. And so, and I think living in that fear of like, is something going to happen when I'm out, when I don't have help, when I'm, just which that's not a fun way to live either, when you're constantly waiting with anxiety for something to happen that is imminent. You just don't know when. So a lot of those financially, medical issues, the just trauma, pressure. All of it, and then changing things, and then especially with this last accident, I had, my boys were 11 and 6 at the time.
Oh wow.
And it was right after COVID. I had my Gramps had passed away the end of December. So I had been grieving his loss. And then the beginning of 21, I I was diagnosed with COVID and had double pneumonia in January for about 5 weeks. So I was literally on my 3rd day back to work in the office part-time because you lose your stamina if you've had COVID, period. You lose your stamina.
So exhausting. And I feel like too cognitive, like you get that brain fog.
You do. And it's so heavy, isn't it? And you can't think, you're like, I'm trying to grasp for a thought and it's not there. And was thinking that would be the best way, and left my office to get my kids Valentine cupcakes. And this is what happened, the same lane, the same direction and road that I have taken for the prior 2 years, is when this happened. But it changed our life having to be away from my boys for over a month because there were still COVID regulations in the hospital.
Oh.
And so I could see both of my parents and my husband. No children. Even the visitors were limited, right? I had those 3. I couldn't see anybody else. But yes, not my children. And then as I moved from the ICU at the hospital to Siskin, which I was there for almost a month, that still, I got to see them a few days before I was released to go home. But then we go home. Now there's a hospital bed. We had to rearrange our living room to fit a hospital bed in there, and people coming into that, and my children having to put my shoes on, and now my husband, right? He's the only driver. I had always loved to drive. Only driver changes things. My parents didn't live here. Thankfully, they were only a couple hours away. His parents do live here. Thankfully, we had them, but that there was a lot. I didn't even want to get back into a vehicle to get home from the hospital.
I bet.
And then now I can see the beauty that has come from this, right? We have opened an agency through this. I have been able to see myself in a different way. I know that I am, I am who I am without the use of my legs, right? That doesn't matter. But there are still ways that I wish would not have happened in this way, and that I do grieve, right? I grieved not being able to go to every single thing. I grieve having to see, is this place accessible before I go? See if I can go to my kids' game, if the school's actually going to be accessible for me, or the gym or the ball field, or those kinds of things. The continued financial, there was not enough coverage from the person who hit me. And so there's been a lot of things for about two of the 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years, I've been out of pocket for everything.
Wow.
And so that also puts another financial stress. And so there's
I
just...
don't think people realize that.
They don't.
That, like, when things happen, it's not, just how huge it is.
It is. And so the continued, doctors and support, and as grateful as I am for a lot of my medical staff and community, it is a financial piece of it that does also bring hardship.
And you have to put it into your schedule.
Yes.
Over and over and over again.
And you don't want to be the reason, right? The culprit of why this. And I think there is a feeling of grief that also comes that I look at the things that I have been through, which most of the things in my life have been medical, the big things, the big life-changing things, and or dealt with medical. And I look at my family. Both of our families have not been near. It's like, why? Why does it keep? It's kind of like a target, right?
Right.
So that's a lot about the grief, kind of a consistent reminder. And then you throw in losing, grandparents in the mix, and
because the rest doesn't stop, right?
No,
the rest of the world and all the things you were going to encounter don't take a break on you because you have one big thing going on, and it just kind of piles.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and one thing I've kind of learned about you, Heather, just since knowing you as much as I have, is you like to be the one to help people. You like to be the one to run the errands and go in the home and do the things for people. And so having to be the person to ask for help and to have people, there for you, that doesn't seem like that would come really easily.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
What helped you to be able to to kind of accept that? Because, you do have this really impactful, difficult, trauma story. But if somebody met you, they just would see joy. And so what helped you to be able to receive So you could get the help, and you could have hands and feet running around when you're in a hospital bed for your babies. How'd you get through that?
I think a lot of it was realizing how big our community was and that people truly did love and want to help us. I think, yes, when you do have the servant's heart, when you are someone that wants to help other people and then something happens when you need it, it is extremely hard. Initially, it was just letting them take care of my family because I knew I couldn't do that. And it was easier for me to kind of the baby step was saying, yes, y'all could take meals to Nick and the kids.
Them.
Yes, you can take Laker to practice. Yes, you can help get Oakley to this place. Like that helped ease it into, okay, I'm not a hardship. I'm not a burden. I know I come with extra luggage right now, but people do truly want to help. And when you have people that you can trust to be in your corner, you can start saying, okay, I do need help getting to a doctor's office. Who can help do that? Or I need help for PT. I do need help with this. Or can someone go to the grocery store? And when you have your village,
which you built,
yes,
your whole life,
yes,
you spend your life building that.
And unfortunately, you don't see your village until something goes wrong. You don't really see how big it is. And we realized just how truly loved we were during this. Another beautiful thing that has come, but I think the baby step and then being able to know, hey, I've got these people and I would do it for them, I finally realized that by not accepting their help, I'm taking away not only their joy, but I'm taking away a blessing that they want to give. And other people want to give just as much as I do. They want to help. And me realizing, gosh, if I don't allow them, then I'm taking this away from them.
Yeah. I think that's so helpful. We were talking earlier about how, sometimes if you can't find the motivation for just you, which, we're listeners, you're enough and you deserve it. But sometimes that's a growth edge for so many. And I think it sounds like part of what made it easier for you was others, saying, okay, it's a blessing for them to help me. It's good for my children to be able to go to their practices and do these things. And so, until we can settle in ourselves and receive just for us alone, I think, maybe in tandem, we can say, okay, it's not just good for me, it's good for them too. And people who love us want to sacrifice to help us just as much as we love sacrificing to help them. And I know that gratitude is a big virtue and priority for you. Tell me, how has gratitude changed or grown, or what does that look like, through all these processes for you?
Yeah, so gratitude has always been natural for me to find. And I think, initially after the accident occurred, I remember being able to see God's provision and being able to be grateful for the police officer showed up and for my Barry Garman, my Army guy who came out of the recruiting system center and came over to help me. And Trevor Thomas was my officer that showed up, and the witnesses that stayed to give testament and be able to call in to get, all of the first responders, all the doctors. I could clearly see that someone had gone before me. And I was grateful that there were people there to help, and that because that changes things, right?
Absolutely.
And then knowing that we had our family at church and we had our baseball family, we had our school family, everyone praying and willing to give. So there's just having gratitude has changed the perspective. It has allowed me to have a sweet contentment because I'm not frozen in time waiting for my world to start spinning again. No, it has. I just needed to join back in. And so me being able to see that through this season, I've been able to be used to help somebody, whether look at their situation differently. It's been able to help change perspectives. I know for me, being able to say, right now I don't feel good. My body hurts. This hurts. I don't want my kids tying my shoes. I don't want my husband to have to keep picking this chair up and putting it in and out of the car to take us places. But being able to look around and see, but look at this. Not only do we have a loving family and I have a husband who this doesn't scare him away, but look at all of the beauty that is around us. I have a medical team that wants to take care of me. My children are learning not only empathy at an early level, but how not to communicate with people that look differently with them. We don't stare at people if they're have a medical device or ailment. You know, you can engage in conversation or you can smile and wave, but don't make them feel weird or that it's not normal for them to be where they are.
Yeah.
And I think I'm also making boys, you know, their characters being shaped into great husbands and fathers one day. Like all of that will look differently because of this experience and how they've been able to watch me walk through it or wheel through it. And I think those are important. But if you can choose to, which it's hard sometimes to open your eyes within your current circumstance, especially if it's unwanted and you didn't do anything to cause it. But if you can, you are going to, if you can find at least a couple of things to be grateful for every day, your entire mood will change.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't become about what's wrong. It becomes about your being happy, your choice to choose joy, to choose happiness, to choose to be grateful for something, even if it doesn't change your entire situation, you being able to say, man, thank you for my family. Thank you for my home. Thank you for my work. Thank you for my medical team. Thank you for the chair that gets me around. There are so many other, thank you for my personality that allows me to walk through this season with hope. Thank you for my relationship with the Lord that allows the gift of grace and the gift of healing and the gift of this shapes me as a person. I'm grateful for the empathy. I've always been empathetic, but for the additional empathy it allows me. Grateful it gives me a voice. I hope that this is not my situation forever, but right now I get to say, hey, look, this is really not accessible, where someone that has always been in this situation would not know because it's what they've always known. There are so many places that need to open their eyes and be more compliant with accessibility, not just, you know, on the
minimum.
Yes, but something that will allow them to actually serve well
and open for all
and
people.
Be inclusive. Yes. And so there are just, obviously so many ways that gratitude has helped, but I think the biggest is being able to change my perspective on this situation and on the day at hand.
Well, and I think that, you know, I have teenagers at home and, you know, just to kind of echo their vocabulary, I think it gives you street cred. You know, you can look people in the face and say, you know, there is joy to be found in the world, and it lands different, you know, because you're using your voice in this way versus, you know, having no obvious challenges, you know, and people being like, well, you say that because everything's great in your life and perfect right now, which of course, you know, for those who are listening, I mean, how many of us can claim that like everything's a bed of roses all the time? Everyone has those trials or struggles they're going through. But I think that, you know, the fact that part of how you feed your joy is using your voice, I think that's just a beautiful synergy. And I do recognize that it's not like easily won, right? We had to choose that, and it's a lot of work to be healthy. And, you know, you and I were talking earlier about how it's, if you tend towards gratitude and you tend towards joy, you often want to skip the grief and the sadness and say, okay, this doesn't feel good, but I could be grateful because of X, Y, Z. How have you learned to take time to sit in that chair with yourself? You know, that, and I'm saying chair because I'm right now in Heather's office and it's just beautiful. You know, there's velvet, you know, couches and beautiful colors and everything. And so, you know, I think we want to sit and enjoy. We want to be in that room. You know, how do you allow yourself to go, you know, and spend a little bit of time when you need to in other places that look different?
Yeah, so still work in progress. It's very hard for me to feel things that are against who I am, and it feels wrong. It feels wrong to be encapsulated with negative emotions. I don't, as we've talked about, know how to navigate those well. But I think being able to say, today I'm not feeling okay. You know, this part of the journey physically hurts. It hurts me emotionally, mentally. I'm just...
It's a hard day.
Yes, it is. And it's okay. But it doesn't mean that I can't still do good things today, right? And I think that's the difference. As we go through hard things, if we have a hard appointment, does that was that a bad hour of my day? Or was it a bad day? No, it was a negative piece of the day. It does not have to be the entire day. It doesn't have to engulf everything. And I think so often we naturally are, if you get yelled at by a client, or if you're in a store and someone takes the shoes you wanted and the size you want or whatever, it kind of can feel personal. It can feel like people are against us. And it's easy to be like, oh, my day was awful. It was the Alexander, the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. It can feel like that sometimes. But once again, it's that change of perspective.
You see what you look for.
You do.
Yeah.
And if you want to be hurt, and if you want to feel ugly, and then you're going to find reasons to help gather to be on your side, right? To help shape your perspective. But you have the choice. So I try to let myself sit long enough to acknowledge, to say, this is okay.
Yeah.
Because I think too, sometimes if you make things too happy, then you do end up repressing feelings that you should be allowing to take some kind of space. Now, do they need to take over?
Not all the space, maybe.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But maybe not all the space all the time. Sometimes,
we do.
Those moments. And, I think that for people listening, it may be they have personalities similar to yours where, the gratitude and the choosing the happy and finding the positive they're easier. That muscle's really, really well developed. And maybe it's harder to sit in sadness. For other people who are listening, it may be that sitting in sadness or in anger is very accessible for them.
Right.
Okay, so that's all right. That just means your growth edge is going to be to balance it out, with saying, okay, let me look and see what else is in the picture. So, life, I think, is more of both and than anything. I can both have a hard day and then also realize that not everything about my day is hard.
Right.
And I can have a lot of pressure, and it can feel like so many things aren't going the way I want, but also maybe something is going the way that I want or the way that I need it to. And I think that dialectical, that balanced approach is just so hard to keep working on. We have to work at it every day.
We do.
I tell my clients, your brain is the only thing that you hygiene once and you think it's, fixed forever, right? So you brush your teeth every day, you shower every day. For us women, we do our hair on a regular basis, and it's not our wedding day, right? It's just bare minimum, maintenance for hygiene. But, we don't hygiene our thoughts every day. We don't pick that outfit in the morning the way that we dress for work or for school or for whatever we're doing. And so, it's a choice, and it's a lot of work. And sometimes we're tired and we have to sit down in it. So I think that, how do you think you've seen yourself grow from having these challenges? You've alluded to a lot of it, but, in what ways do you think you're different than you would have been?
I would not own an insurance agency.
Many people in this community are very glad you did.
Yes.
Own this. Not that what you went through, but glad that you're here.
Yeah. This is the most beautiful part of what I've been through, but it allowed me to make changes in my life that needed to be made. When you go through a situation that is big enough to change everything, then you realize, oh, what I was feeling wasn't as bad, or hey, maybe I am capable of taking the risk. Something I would not have done before. But then this has been a huge blessing for our family. It has allowed me to prove that you can do something with a service in mind, try to make something relationally based and not just about selling a policy or about the money. I know that this has continued to shape the picture of Jesus that I see painted and his love for me, and the way that I think when you go through really hard times, you know him in a way that other people will never know. And that's not meant to be like, you can't be his friend too. But I am the most grateful that I have also been able to be part of other people's journey by the way that I have been able to walk through this season and navigate this season, that it has brought hope and joy to other people, because that's something that you could always hope for, and you would always want to do something well and something to reflect who you truly are, regardless of the outside factors. But I think that those are the ways that I've probably seen myself grow the most.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. So I have 2 questions left. One is like a practical question. For the listeners, what advice or suggestions would you give them if they see somebody in a wheelchair and or around somebody who is in has something, a cane or a wheelchair or a service dog or whatever? What's some tips that you have? Because I think generally people want to do the right thing, but it's not always the best. Yeah.
For sure. I would say treat them the way that you would want to be treated. And I know that sounds so simplistic, but if you're not going to walk by an able-bodied person and you're not going to stare at them with your mouth open, don't do that with someone who looks physically different than you. I would say for the little girl who came up to me at the store the other day, and her parents who were mortified that she was like, "Why are you in that wheelchair?" Let your kids ask questions. I would rather someone come up to me and say, "Hey, you look, I can't physically see what's wrong with you. Why are you in a wheelchair?" Or whatever. Like, I would rather you engage with me so I could tell you my story, or at least say, "Hey, this is what I'm currently dealing with," than for you to stare. And if I see you staring, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to smile. It's just what's going to happen. Don't look away. Like, I already caught you. Like, let's either have an interaction, say hi, wave. So I would say to anybody else, like, make sure that you are choosing to engage as you would. Now, if you are a grumpy grandpa who's not going to engage with anyone, then just keep on your way. But choose to make people feel better than they probably do. And a piece of that is whether you want to have a true conversation, wave and smile, at least acknowledge them. A big piece. And if you see a parent that is wheeling, whether it is a wheelchair, a stroller, they're trying to get a wheelchair and out of the cart, something like that, ask if they need help. Most of the time they're going to say no because they know how to do it. They have it down to a science. But you just making the effort to say, "I see you," is so important and valuable, and you have no idea how much you will make their day, because how often do they lug that in and out and no one even acknowledges? Or they're struggling to try to open the door and wheel their child in and can't do it all, and yet there are people that are sitting staring at them like they are the Broadway production. Please just be a human. Do the right thing. Hold open doors. We're in the South. Be kind and Southern. And hold open doors. Make people feel wanted. And don't be scared. If someone doesn't want to talk about something, you asking them isn't going to really upset them. They will say, "I'd rather not share my story." And then but then you can be like, "Okay, well, I hope you have a great day," or, "Hey, you look beautiful today." Something. Encourage somebody with a compliment, but at the end of the day, make them feel seen.
I love that. Because I think so many times we either avoid or we take over. And people don't need that.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. They need to be able to be respected and human and have all the courtesy. I love that so much. So my last question is, what would you hope that listeners would walk away with today from hearing your story? And thank you for sharing so much. You have a big, brave heart, and I really am so honored that you would sit and open it with me and with everyone listening today. I know you do it so much.
Yes.
But it really is, so, not to borrow your words, but precious in this space. So what would you hope they would walk away with?
Thank you for your kind words. That was very sweet. I would love for people to have heard this story and not thought, "Oh gosh, I hate that she's, in this season," or "Oh, pity her." But I now know how to engage with someone who looks different than I do. I know how to come alongside somebody and offer them help in a season that is unwanted, or a season they haven't been able to navigate well before. And at the end of the day, I want you to know that even in the worst situation that you have been thrown into, whether it's a medical diagnosis, whether it is the result of a car accident, whether it is a divorce, whether it is a loss of a job, whatever that looks like, or a loss of yourself, I hope that you will not fear change, but that you would allow yourself to know that there is hope and there can be happiness within your situation, even if it's hard, even if it's hard. And it doesn't mean it has to change you for the worse, right? You can be changed for the better. The beautiful parts of yourself can be made more beautiful. You can have a way to impact even more people. And you don't have to feel alone, right? Going through times like that allows your village to be seen. They make their faces known. People that you would have no idea are walking alongside you. So I would say, don't fear the unknown. Don't walk through life fearing what could happen. Live life, and if something happens, choose to find the joy in it. Don't miss the joy of the journey. It's so easy to do, but I want y'all to be hopeful and mindful, and I hope overall that you will hear that joy is a choice.
I love that. Thank you so much, Heather, for being with me or allowing me to be here with you. I also want to thank our listeners for joining us in this episode. I know that many of you are listening and resonating with this story you heard today, or maybe your experience and what you're going through feels really different. I just want to encourage you to find those spaces where your story is held and where you get the support and love you deserve. So be gentle with yourself, and I'll see you next time.
Proud member of the Podnuga Network.